So everybody has a Grove Beginner Kit for Arduino, and so we're going to open this, and inside there's a board that looks like this, and on this board are a few different sensors. Up in the upper left-hand corner here, there's an LED that can be turned on and off. There's a buzzer, so you can create different frequencies and send them to the buzzer and make sounds. There's a liquid crystal display, so you can have output that reads out different things. Like if you measure temperature, for example, you could have it report here. Down below, there's a push button here. There's what's called a potentiometer or a variable resistor. Over on the right-hand side, there's a light sensor, so we can measure the amount of light that is reading. There's a sound sensor, so conceivably you could have a buzzer that creates a sound and then you can measure that sound over here. Then there's a temperature and humidity sensor right here. And excuse me, finally there's an air pressure sensor and an accelerometer. It's a 3-axis accelerometer, so you can measure X, Y, and Z. And then in the central region of the board is the microcontroller. It's based on the Arduino platform, and it has multiple ways that you can connect to this microcontroller to read different devices, such as the buzzer and the LED and things like that. So you could connect wires here along these yellow strips. You can also use pre-made cables to connect from the white connectors here. Or if you don't take this board apart, if you leave it just as it comes out of the box, all of these connectors are already wired through the board to this Arduino microcontroller. And this is actually called a Cduino Lotus board, but it's basically the same as an Arduino. It's just made by a company called Seed Studios. So for example, if we go to the LED here, up next to where the LED is labeled, there is a small label there that says D4. That means that LED is connected to this microcontroller through the digital pin number 4. So we're going to see how that works in the first lab that we do. But the way that we connect this is there's a USB mini here, and so we can just connect a USB to the board. And then we can take the USB cable and plug it into our computer. If you have a spare USB port, let's see on this other side. So now it's connected, and your computer should recognize it. I don't believe it will require any special drivers to be downloaded and installed. So after you've plugged in your USB cable, what you should notice is that the LCD here is reporting a light level. And so you see it says light and there's a number. And if I were to go over to the light sensor and I cover it, we can see that the number changes. It becomes smaller. If I uncover it, the number becomes larger. So there's already a program loaded onto this microcontroller that's controlling the reading of the light sensor and sending the reading to the LCD. Okay, now that we have the microcontroller connected to the computer, I'm going to go into the first lab. So in week 1, chapter 6, I'm going to go into this chapter 6 book. And at the end, there's lab 1, Blinky. And there are some things for you to read there, but I'm going to scroll down. In the procedure, it says you need to create an account on Create.arduino.cc. I've already created an account. I'm going to go directly into the web editor here. And when I do that, it shows me a list of programs here that they call sketches. And I already have open here the first lab, which is called Lesson 1 LED. And probably what's going to happen for you when you first start this program is that this web interface is not allowed to connect to your USB ports. And so what you'll need to do is go into the Help menu and scroll down, and there's a plugin that allows the website, this Arduino website, to interact with your USB ports so that you can then do things with the Arduino. So you're going to want to click on download the plugin. It will download, and then in the bottom left of your screen, you can select to install it and just go through the installation, selecting all of the defaults. It'll probably ask you about which browser you're going to use. If you only plan to use the Chrome browser or Firefox, then you can just click that that's what you're going to do. Continue through. Eventually, you should get through the installation process, and then when you go back into the editor, at first there might be an X up here, but you should then be able to see that you can select a communication port, and your number will be different from mine, but it should say COM7 or COM15, COM3, something like that. You'll select that, and then you'll want to go through the list of Arduinos that they have here. The first one is usually Arduino Genuino 101, but what this board is the Arduino Uno. So I'm going to click on that. I should see a check mark there. I've selected this communication port, which is my USB port number 7. I'm going to select OK. And then that should now allow communication between my computer USB port and the microcontroller. There are two buttons here. One is verify. That just checks to make sure that your program is written correct. It uses the language correctly. You could still have bugs in your program, but it's at least written with the language written correctly. So I'll click that just so you can see what it does. It'll say that it's verifying, and then it'll say success if everything is okay. I generally skip straight to this other button, the upload button, because it will verify first and then it will upload. So I'll click that button. It says verifying, and then once it's verified, it will upload. And when it uploads, you should see some lights blink here. So I'll just bring this up to the camera and I'll click upload again. So hopefully you saw, right there are some buttons that blink when the program uploads. That's a good indication that your program has made it onto the board. So you may not have any other indication. See, there they go again. And what this program does is it turns the LED that's on digital pin number 4, it turns it on and off once every second. So for this particular program, you do have another indicator. Once it's uploaded, that LED is going to begin blinking once every second. So that's how you get this program working. Every time you make a change to your program, you will have to re-verify and upload the program to the microcontroller in order for it to be updated on here. So for example, if I change the times here so that it blinks twice a second, or it waits half a second before it turns on and then turns off again, I click upload, and then when I do that and it uploads, what we see is faster blinking. And I can make that even more extreme, so I could make it stay on for 1 second, but I can make it go off for a very short amount of time. So let's see what happens. There are the upload lights. And then if we look at the LED, we see it stays on and it goes off, but it's off for a very short amount of time and on for a longer amount of time. So you can see that those changes are taking effect.